Dang sweat beads everywhere. Right. So if you're watching this video, you might be thinking about shooting a traditional bow. And I shot my compound from the time I was a 9-year-old kid up until about 2013, and I picked up a trad bow then, and I've kind of been working on getting more accurate with these trad bows since then. And I feel like I have a fairly good system now that works pretty well for me and that I'm pretty accurate with, and I kind of wanted to share that with you guys. There's a few types of ways you can shoot a trad bow. The first is instinctive, and I'm an instinctive shooter, like inside of that 15 yards. If I'm 12 yards from an animal, I'm not gonna do much else other than stare at the spot I want to hit, and that might be just a little tuft of hair, and pull back my bow, get to anchor, and then let the string go. And one caveat to this is I don't really care how you shoot. You have to figure out something that is going to be consistent for you in your anchor, in your bow hand, and also the way you release your fingers. I'm not going to go over how to do all that because there's so many different opinions, and I think all those opinions are probably correct and they probably all work, so you got to find what works for you. So look for a different YouTube video for that. I'm going to show you what I do and how I aim my trad bow. So let's just go up to 10 yards, and I'll kind of show you my method of shooting at 10 yards. Right, here's 10 yards, and you guys can see on the target there's a little pink dot. Honestly, I don't typically have a rangefinder with me, but I want to reference to you guys how far things are. So what I do is I got a 10-yard shot here. You know, this is ideally where I'd want a deer at if you could pick. Something else you got to keep in mind is you got to have everything tuned properly. If that's not the case, it's going to be really, really hard to be accurate. But at 10 yards, I'm going to, get my grip the way I want it. I dress my string with a little C in my wrist like this, and that's because for me it creates a little cleaner release than having my wrist kind of cocked this way. I like it cocked this way. And then I like to anchor into my cheekbone right here, kind of where this, like where your smile is. Right there on that cheekbone is where I like to put that C in your grip, and I put it right in that cheekbone right there. So, and I'm looking at that pink dot, and I'm trying to find a little piece of straw inside of that pink dot to shoot at. So I find that piece of straw. Now I shot a couple inches low there, but that's essentially all I do. This close, there is no real aiming or anything per se with my tip. I just get my bow hand comfortable, address my string, hit my anchor, right there. Looks like I need to adjust my sight. I'm about 2 inches low on both those shots. Okay, so that is what I do close range. And I think it's important to be able to kind of shoot instinctive sometimes, because if I need to with my shooting, if I have a deer that's kind of coming in fast, or if I'm like, let's say here, get up here to this 10-yard mark. If I'm on the ground here and I need to make a quick shot, I can just pick a spot out, get to my anchor, and right there into the purple dot I go again, or pink dot I go again. So that's what I do from close distances. Okay, so now let's say we want to get accurate past 20 yards. That's when, to me, the 20-yard mark is more like the 50-yard mark when it comes to compounds. Past 20 can be, that's a pretty far shot for a trad bow. Maybe I'm giving myself too much, not enough credit. Maybe 30 yards is more like a really long shot, but I really like the deer to be inside of 20, but I like to practice outside of 20. So let's go back to 20, and I'll kind of show you how I figure out how to shoot accurate at 20 and then beyond. Okay, we are exactly at 20 yards. So at 20 yards, at least with this bow, I will start to do what's called gap shooting. And essentially what gap shooting is it's using the tip of your arrow as kind of like a pin. And I actually use my insert as my pin because the tip of your arrow can change, whether you have a broadhead on here or a different size field point or whatever the case may be. But this this is a stainless steel insert here, this silver insert, never really changes. So what I'm doing here is I'm figuring out what my gaps are, and I'm figuring out what my point on is specifically. And what that means is I'm gonna get back here, get to my anchor, and I'm gonna put that insert right on that pink dot, and then we're gonna see where it hits, doing all things exactly the same as I do every single time. Get to anchor and pull through. So let's go to 20 yards here. Okay, we're at 20. Okay, now in theory this should shoot a little bit high. Get to anchor. Okay, so we're pretty high there. Make sure we're consistent. Yep. So we're hitting essentially right at the top of the bell there, and we probably should just do one more for good measure, just to make sure we're all good and accurate here. All right, let's go look at those and I'll kind of show you what I mean. This arrow right here was not good. I plucked the string real bad, but anyway, so I was putting my insert right here in this dot, and my arrows were hitting up here on top of the bell. So I'm a good maybe 16 inches from the middle. So what I'm going to do is, instead of putting my insert right here in the middle, I'm going to try to put it right down in here, right below the dot, about 16 inches, just like we got up here, which I don't know, it may be a little less than that, but anyways, this is a perfect circle. So I'm just going to put my insert down here, and I should start hitting right here in the purple. So let's give that a try. Okay, double check my yardage. Okay, we're about at 20 here. Same thing. I'm gonna get back to my anchor, get my insert about just, I don't know, maybe 12 to 14 inches below that purple dot, and then start executing my shot. We'll just shoot 3 of them here using that method, and we'll go look at it. Okay, those are 3 quick arrows. Let's go look at them. And you can see here, much better. This first shot, I think I was just a little low on my aiming, so I kind of brought these next 2 up a couple inches, and they're both in the pink dot there. So now I know kind of roughly where my 20-yard gap is. I need to aim, 12 inches probably below the dot. Now I'm going to go back and just find my what's called a point on. The distance of where, if I put that insert onto the target where I want to hit at, if it's going to arc and then land perfectly into that spot. I'm guessing, just the way that is, it's going to be around 30 yards, but we're going to find out. Okay, now we should be right at 30 here. Yep, exactly 30. Come here, Rosie. To be honest with you, these are my last 3 shots. It's hotter than fire outside right now. Come on. Come on. Just going to take that insert and put it right on the dot, and we'll see where we hit at 30. Should be pretty close to point on. Not to brag, but that was pretty much Perfect. Shouldn't have bragged. Plucked the string, collapsed a little bit, and we're off. But that first arrow felt really good, and it hit right where I was looking. Okay, let's go look at him. That was a really good shot too. The biggest thing with traditional archery is not really your aiming method, is trying to do things the exact same way every time. And you know, I kind of look goofy that I'm kind of hunched over, and I got a bad habit of kind of settling my head in, which I wish I didn't do because it's a lot of movement. But it works for me, and I'm fairly accurate with it. So this was the first arrow that I told you was really good. This was the third arrow. This is the one I told you that I collapsed on a little bit, and you can see we're about, I don't know, 6 inches off. Maybe he deducted into that one, but that's how I shoot my trad bow. It's not that complicated. It's actually really simple, and anybody can get really accurate with them if you just put some time into it and figure out what is the best method for you to shoot one. And I don't shoot deer at 30 yards, but I like to practice that far, and it keeps me tuned in, and at that 15 yards I can just stack arrows on top of each other. So I hope this helped with your traditional archery, whatever you're in with it, your hobby or your path you're trying to take down the traditional archery world. That's what's been working for me. Lots of good resources out there. Clay Hayes, the Push guys, Tom Clum, Joel Turner, Ron Jenkins, the list goes on and on and on. There's really good instinctive archers too that can teach you stuff. There's books out there and all that. I kind of started down the 3-under path when I first started, and I just haven't switched from there. But there's nothing wrong with shooting split finger. A lot of the guys that I got to know in traditional archery shoot split finger. So find what works for you and stick with it and get really good at it, and you should be fine then. So hit a subscribe button there for me, and if you want to watch another video, it's right there. What do you think, Rosie Dozy? Tell them, say subscribe, subscribe, subscribe.